first story is titled, Am I the A-hole for hiding what I got left by my grandma from my stepsister? My parents are divorced. I, 16 female, lost my grandma from COVID in April. She left me her really cute and also delicate jewelry, and all the jewelry she had gathered over the years, including some nice necklaces, bracelets, and rings. Her engagement ring was there too, but my dad kept that safe for me anyway because I think he was a little worried my mom would try to claim it. Anyway, when the stuff first made it into the house, my stepsister, 14 female, took an interest in everything I had and wanted to look and touch and for me to share. I told her no. She was upset and said we need to share things, and I told her not when it was sentimentally valuable and something my grandma left me. She told me we're sisters, so I should share, and I told her no because she has nothing to do with my dad's side of the family. It got more heated. My stepdad wanted me to share. My mom told me to let her use one thing occasionally. Eventually, I had enough of trying to protect it, especially after I caught her searching my room for it, and I made the decision to leave it at my dad's, and then I decided to leave there more than here. So, I only see my mom every other weekend, and my mom still thinks I should have left it there for sharing. I explained my decision to her, and she told me that it's unfair for me not to share when I would be a bio sister. I told her I would if my grandma was their grandma, but she has nothing to do with my grandma, and never did. She told me that's not fair when she's as much my sister as a bio would be. I said, no, she's not. Not when it comes to my dad and my paternal family, because she will never be part of their lives or get anything from them, and she's not entitled to it. I said she has her dad's family if she wants that kind of relationship. My stepsister has been calling me a witch ever since I took the box away. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You handled the situation very well, and I'm appalled that the adults in the house couldn't respect your decision. Exactly. Not the a-hole. Your mother or steps do not get to decide what you do with your inheritance. God forbid she lost one of the pieces, they wouldn't take the blame and twist it on OP. Not the a-hole. Not even close on this one. Who demands someone else's sentimental inheritance? Your mom is the biggest a-hole because she should be the adult voice of reason. Plus, it's not her late mother's jewelry, so why is she involved? Your dad keeping the engagement ring safe is very telling of your mom's behavior. Glad you have your dad's place to get away to, and some things to remember your grandma. That's probably exactly why she's involved. It's her former mother-in-law's jewelry, so she doesn't feel the need to respect sentimentality, because for her there isn't any. As far as she's concerned, she just wants to go with the action that will lead to a quick resolution, and quiet things down in her home, which is to force Opie to share. She'd probably be more understanding if it was her own late mother's jewelry. Not at a-hole. The stuff is the final gift from your grandma. The value it holds because of that is incalculable. Blended families are tricky. I get them wanting equality and fairness, but that should apply to how they treat you, etc. It has no bearing on your inheritance. The lack of respect for your boundaries isn't pleasant. Is your stepsister normally indulged? Used to having her own way? There has been a lot of, we're family now, we share and we don't let the step define things. And she has liked it and embraced it, and they let her use it to get her own way more. Yeah. That's wrong. Share a console, take turns to pick a movie, have equal allowance, equal chores. But taking from one to give to the other, isn't being balanced or giving equal treatment. That's preferential, and literally the opposite of what they're saying. They basically view it as it's wrong for me to say what I do because we're family, which makes her my grandma's family, but she never was. They never met, and they never had anything to do with each other. She's not married into my dad's family or related by blood, so that's it. They did that stuff when we were a little younger too. She got this trampoline for her birthday, and my mom kept pushing me to use it because I had wanted one when I was younger. But it was a one-person trampoline, so it meant if I used it, she couldn't. And it was just so weird. Now let's read the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to invite my brother to my wedding? About 5 years ago I was engaged, and my then fiancé ran off with my best friend and roommate. This led to all sorts of bad things happening. A few months later, my brother got married to his longtime fiancé, and I found my ex was the maid of honor at his wedding, and he made the guy she ran off with his best man. Ever since then, I have refused to have anything to do with my brother. Recently, my brother and his wife had a baby, and due to some postpartum issues, my mother has been caring for the child. So recently, my fiancé went dress shopping and invited her mom, my mom, at her wedding party. Apparently, during the drive, my mother started talking about how I should just forget what happened, forgive my brother and move on. When I was told this, I lost it. I told my mother I would never invite my brother and that he has no place in my life. He's not a brother to me. She also thinks that because my other brother in Germany is coming, that my younger brother deserves to see him. I said that's up to him, but not at my wedding. My fiancé says I should bury the hatchet because it's not fair that my nephew will never know me. I said if the child reaches out to me later in life, I am fine with that, but I stood my ground about not letting my brother attend a wedding or be part of my life. This has been going on for months, and it seems like everyone is leaning to his side. Am I really the a-hole here? Edit. For everyone asking if he's ever apologized, he hasn't. One year he did have my mother give me a Christmas present. It was a doormat with my name on it. I thought it was insulting. My mother said it was him trying to extend an olive branch. Edit 2. For those asking about my relationship prior, my brother and I had a healthy relationship prior to this. The general thought process is that his wife didn't have a lot of friends here, so my ex was one of her only local friends. She would be the maid of honor. Douchebag was now her boyfriend, so my ex wanted to walk the aisle with him, so made him the best man. Obviously, this was never going to sit well with me, so the easy thing to do was not to invite me. I'm guessing they thought I would just let it go as I'm usually a mild person. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He gave you a doormat as an olive branch? A doormat? A very telling gift. The fact that it literally had my name on it didn't help. He's literally mocking you and calling you a doormat. Your parents are enabling him and using his child as something above you. Leverage. Take note. 1 year he did have my mother give me a Christmas present. It was a doormat with my name on it. I thought it was insulting. My mother said it was him trying to extend an olive branch, then gift him some toilet paper with his name on it for Christmas. After all, it's the thought that count. This actually made me laugh. Thanks for that. Not the a-hole. Excuse me? He made that guy his best man? And called you a doormat? Did I miss something? Why on earth would you ever want to see him? I don't, but my mother seems to think I should get over it. And my fiancé, while she understands why I'm mad at my brother, feels I should bury the hatchet for his child's sake. No offense, OP, but you and I both know their child will survive just fine. I mean, yeah, probably. One small fact that I did leave out because I didn't think it was usually related was, my brother and his wife had a baby before. The baby died at 2 months old due to sudden infant death syndrome. That's probably why my mother is caring for the new baby. I think my fiancé wants to have the opportunity for us to care for the child if the need arises. I don't know that for a fact, but I kinda assume, and I feel like that is part of why she wants me to mend things. Side note, my fiancé has never met my brother or his wife, but my mother has brought a baby around. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for erasing my brother? My older sister, Laura 30, younger brother, Elon 26, and I 27, were always really close. Our childhood was difficult. We each portray our scars in different ways. Laura learned that hope brings nothing but pain, cynical but loyal. I'm socially anxious with an intense fear of getting in trouble. And Elon was a problem child with an anger issues. Elon has a learning disability, and it affected his ability to progress through school. He scraped by elementary, barely attended middle school, and dropped out of high school nearly the second he got there. Although Elon and I are only a year apart by birth, we were 3 grades apart by the time I graduated elementary school. My mother wouldn't allow us to be in the same school once I entered the 9th grade. My school went from 6th grade to 12th. School, due to how his outbursts was handled. His teachers never could handle him, but never wanted to admit it. So instead of calling, heaven forbid, his parents, they'd call me or my sister. The issue started when he began stealing. Everything. iPads, phones, money, anything he could get his hands on. I'd been saving my barista tips and walked in on him stealing them, after I said I didn't have any money to give him. He just shrugged and said, I wanted it, and you knew I'd take it. He was not on these. He felt like he could have whatever he wanted. He's charismatic and people generally like him. He knows it. Ultimately, though, he was kicked out of the house. My mother has a soft spot for him and would invite him over whenever possible. As such, he came by for Christmas a few years back. Great. After he left, the family went to visit family. Upon returning, we found the presents gone. Alan later admitted to taking them because he wanted a PlayStation. That was it for me. My dad tried to talk to me into forgiving him, but no. The next year, my brother broke into my father's, parents are divorced, house. My father has since stopped trying to have a relationship with Alan, but thinks I should try. Alan hasn't done anything terrible in the last 3 years, but the family has also taken measures to ensure that he can't. We don't post on when we are going on vacation. We don't invite him to family reunions. If he is in the house, we don't leave him in a room alone. I've cut Alan out of my life. I don't speak to him. I don't acknowledge him. I don't even say his name. As far as I'm concerned, he no longer exists. However, some of my family has been putting pressure on me to forgive him and mend a relationship. They say he's trying to change. He's got a steady job, he's trying to get his GED, and is finally dating a girl his age. He usually dates just made legal girls because women his age notice that he can't read. My family and sometimes friends say that it's unfair for me not to give him a chance. I told them that I hope he's doing well and lives a successful life, but I don't want him in mine. It's a touchy subject and always leaves my parents irritated with me. Am I the a-hole for erasing my brother? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't burn down the bridges on him, did you? He burned them down himself. That's the problem I'm having. No one thinks he burned bridges. He certainly doesn't think so. Everyone thinks he went off the deep end, and I burned the bridge while he drowned. Not the a-hole. You gave him a lifetime of chances. He used them to steal from you, and then blame you for it. He wiped out the entire family's Christmas in order to get himself a PlayStation. You reached your limit, and you are allowed to say when enough is enough. Clarification. I had to cut out a few explanations because of a character limit. Alan didn't steal the presents to sell them for a PlayStation. We'd bought a PlayStation for our youngest brother, 70-ish at the time, and Alan wanted it. He just took all the other presents as well. It's why I was so upset. He stole from his baby brother, a kid who loved him unconditionally. Not the a-hole. Has this kid had any therapy? He's a checklist of failed systems and parents who couldn't cope with fighting the system. Don't blame them. It's a broken, failing system. Hope you all get what you need. Therapy isn't really something we do in my family. God knows we need it. But no, none of us ever had it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for flaunting my marriage to my sister? So, my husband and I have been married for about 2 years, and my sister has been married for 7. She has 2 toddlers, so wouldn't be doing anything for New Year's Eve, and we're neighbors, so my husband and I went over to her place to just hang out before we headed out for a night. The 4 of us were sitting and talking, and we went on a trip down memory lane of all the stupid things we did as kids, and I told a funny story of something our brother did which was very stupid, but also hilarious. But he was a teenager and is now just a funny story. He's an aerospace engineer now. When both of our husbands weren't in the room, she turned to me all mad and said, "You shouldn't say stuff like that about our family in front of the husbands. They'll judge them and think they're stupid." I was quite shocked. So I said, I never really had to worry about that with my husband because we love each other's family like our own. And he would never judge, which is 100% true. Both our families have some colorful characters, but we've never cared nor judged that. Well, this pissed her off more, and she went off on me saying I'm flaunting that my marriage and husband is better than hers. We left soon after. My husband said I should have just smiled and agreed to keep the peace, but I wasn't being nefarious in telling her that I genuinely have never worried about what information about my family I tell my husband. So, am I the a-hole for telling my sister my husband doesn't judge our family and loves them as his own? Edit. To everyone saying I should reach out to my sister to see if she's okay. Since she's been this way for the past 2 years, I have regularly tried and even got my mom to try to get her to talk about what's going on. But she's always been a very, very private person and a perfectionist, so we haven't been able to get her to open up. The last time I tried, I told her that they should get family therapy. I don't know if they went or not, but she's certainly not the kind of person who would tell me if she did. Not the a-hole. Your sister is projecting her relationship insecurities onto you. And you shouldn't have to take it just because you have a healthy living relationship with your husband. Sister was drunk, I bet, exaggerating her insecurities. Just because she's insecure in her marriage does not mean you're flaunting yours. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Her insecurities about her husband aren't your fault. You made your comments in complete good faith, so you're not the a-hole here at all. Not the a-hole. Is this a new personality trait of your sister? I'm just asking because some women do 180s and turn into insufferable monsters when they have kids. Your sister is being ridiculous, paranoid, and hyper-defensive. She's been a bit snippy about some things since I got married. If I share a happy story or something cute my husband did that made me happy, which she used to do regularly with me for the 7 years she's been married, she'd make a negative/sarcastic comment or mean joke about it. So I just stopped sharing such stories with her. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe. Second update. Am I the a-hole for giving crappy Christmas gifts and ruining my marriage? For the first part of this story, click the card above or the link in the description. To recap, in my first post, my husband's family uninvited me from Christmas. My husband still left and made me celebrate Christmas alone, so I organized crappy gifts as a final bird flip. In the first update, I moved out, and my underemployed soon-to-be ex and his family still expected me to pay rent on the apartment in my in-laws' names. Now for the second update. So, the people who commented that my soon-to-be former in-laws were probably charging my soon-to-be ex and me more than the amount on the lease? You called it. And we wouldn't have found out if they weren't so entitled and determined to hurt me. They got a cousin, who happens to be a lawyer, to send me a letter demanding I pay the entirety of the remainder of the lease, or they will file suit and force me to pay it. Clearly a scare tactic. So, my lawyer sent a formal request to their lawyer for a copy of the lease, which I've never seen, and a copy of their written agreement with us as sublessees, which doesn't exist. They sent the lease and insisted the sublease agreement was a verbal contract. Not only is subleasing explicitly prohibited, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law had been charging us an extra $200 each month. So, we've notified the landlord that I've been living there with my soon-to-be ex, and that the in-laws were living in their own house throughout the duration of the lease. We also sent copies of my driver's license with the address and over 2 years of bank and credit card statements with the address listed. They were served with a 30-day eviction notice yesterday, which I know about because mother-in-law left a voicemail about me kicking my soon-to-be ex out of his home, and that she now drives with a baseball bat in her car and will be keeping an eye out for me. Obviously, my lawyer's expertise is in family law, and this was out of her purview, so she referred me to a colleague who focuses on real estate law. We met today to devise a battle plan, and I am now suing my mother-in-law and father-in-law for all the money I can prove I transferred for rent for the entirety of my residency there, since the apartment was technically not a legal rental, as they couldn't sublease. No clean hands to rent to us and then sue me. He's not sure how a judge will buy it, and it's way beyond my state civil compensation limit, but he's confident that it will scare them and leave them open to settling for just returning the additional $200 from each payment, which I think is fair, because I did live there with my soon-to-be ex, so I don't think it's right to get all the rent money back. I'm an adult, and adults pay rent, and I don't want them to have the satisfaction of saying I'm using the divorce as a windfall. On the soon-to-be ex front, there's no news there. We will likely need to go to family court for a separation order, since he won't agree to the financial details of the separation agreement my lawyer has drafted. My state requires a 1-year separation period before a divorce can be finalized, so this is going to be a long process. A few people asked why he did what he did, and if he's offered any kind of explanation or justification. We haven't really talked since he was served. I don't know if he just fell out of love but kept me around because I was financially convenient, or if the mask finally lifted, or if being so close to his family gave them more opportunities to manipulate him. I don't know and I don't care. I don't need closure. I need them all gone. Looking back, making promises during couples counseling and slowly regressing back is enough closure. Knowing he allowed his family to treat me like crap for so long is closure. That final betrayal at Christmas is closure. My focus isn't on figuring it out. It's on making sure I'm happy. Now for the top comments. Keep their calls and text messages as evidence for a protective order. Absolutely. She's going to regret it because she works for the school district and a restraining order won't let her teach. I don't know, and I don't care. I don't need closure. I need them all gone. And that's how you know you're starting to heal. Too many people let toxic exes back into their lives in the name of closure. The truth is that, when someone hurts you like that, it's not your job to figure out the why. What matters is that they did, and you need to leave to protect yourself. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you. Honestly, I feel like a new person. I feel like someone who's been ill and finally able to go outside and breathe fresh air. Don't forget to investigate suing for return of money invested in his business. It was premarital asset and exempt from prenup. Worth a shot to see if you can recover some, if not all of that wasted savings. I had never thought of this. I'll bring it up when I meet with my lawyer next. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out of our house after she refused to call our son by his name? My husband, 34 male, and I, 31 female, recently had our first child, a son we named Elijah. We put a lot of thought into his name. We loved the meaning, and it just felt right. My mother-in-law, 62 female, had no strong opinions about it at first. She didn't gush over it, but she also didn't object. Or so we thought. The first time she met Elijah at the hospital, she looked at him and said, "Oh, little David, you're so perfect." I thought I misheard her, so I ignored it. But then she said it again. I asked her, "Who's David?" And she just smiled and said, "Oh, it just suits him better." I was too exhausted from labor to argue, but over the next few weeks, she kept calling him David, texting us things like, "How's my little David doing today?" Or, "Give David a kiss for me." I told her firmly that his name is Elijah. She laughed and said, "Oh, I know, but I think he just feels like a David." Neither my husband nor I know anyone named David. It's not a family name. There's no sentimental reason behind it. It's just a completely random name she decided to call my child, despite us telling her not to. At first we tried to let it go, hoping she'd stop if we ignored it, but it only got worse. When we FaceTimed her, she'd coo at him saying, "Grandma loves you, David." She even started knitting a baby blanket with the name David embroidered on it. The final straw was when she came over for a family dinner and kept referring to him as David in front of everyone. My sister-in-law asked, "Wait, why do you keep calling him David?" And mother-in-law just laughed and said, "Because that's his name to me." That's when I lost it. I said, "No, his name is Elijah. And if you can't respect that, you don't need to be here." She rolled her eyes and tried to wave me off, but I wasn't having it. I told her to leave. She looked shocked, but she left without much of a fight. Now my husband is upset with me. He agrees that his mom was being weird and disrespectful, but he thinks kicking her out was too extreme and that I should have just let it go. Mother-in-law is now playing the victim, telling everyone that I'm keeping her grandson from her over a harmless nickname. Some think I overreacted. Others agree that her behavior was bizarre. I don't know. Was I really in the wrong for putting my foot down? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Only call your husband by the wrong name for a week and see how he likes it. Right? He has always been a bit of a mama's boy, so him taking her side doesn't surprise me. But this is still our son we're talking about. Not the a-hole. This is a very weird behavior, and your feelings are valid. I also find it odd that your husband thinks you overreacted, but you literally just told her to use the correct name or to leave. It sounds like she made her choice, and now she's upset with you. It really is, and I'm still wondering who the heck David is or why she chose that name. As for my husband, he's always had a hard time going against his mom in anything. Ask her if David was an affair partner and your husband's real father. You are not the a-hole. It's not just the name, but the constant brushing you off when corrected. And then the eye roll. She needed something shocking. You need to think of a name other than grandma. Elijah has a grandma. David doesn't. If she calls him David, actively call her by her first name or Mrs. Blank. Next story. Am I the a-hole if I'm upset that my husband mentioned getting a paternity test? My 31 female, husband 32 male, just mentioned that he's keen on getting a paternity test for our 3-week-old baby girl. His reasoning is that our daughter has darker hair than him. He has brown hair and I'm white blonde. I'm a little confused as she hardly has any bloody hair, and this just feels like he's accusing me of infidelity. I actually thought he was joking initially. The conversation went as follows. He said, "Her hair is really dark." So I said, "Yeah, it is, even though it isn't darker than his." He then mentioned getting the test. It was completely out of the blue. I initially said that he should go for it, as I wasn't thinking. But now that I've had some time to reflect, I'm really not happy about it. If he wants to get the test, fine by me, but it just feels like he doesn't trust me. Am I overthinking this? He has no reason to think like this. He even went as far as to say if she wasn't mine biologically, she'd still be my girl. That statement just ticked me off, and I've said nothing to him since. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before the mini update. This just feels like he's accusing me of infidelity. That's because he is. If he believed the baby was switched at birth, he'd use his freaking words and say that. Which is what annoys me the most. 18 months ago, I quit my job and moved to a different country for him to further his career. I've given him a second beautiful girl, and he says this crap. Tell him he can have his paternity test if he hands you his phone and passwords right that moment. If he wants to doubt your fidelity, you owe it to yourself to check his messages, /emails, /apps to ensure he isn't projecting. Yeah, my first thought was this guy might be projecting his own infidelity. Not the a-hole. Your husband is though. All of my children were born with loads of jet black hair. Neither their father nor I have black hair. 2 of my children now have light brown hair, and 2 are blonde. There's absolutely no doubt at all that my husband is the father of my children, as they share very obvious genetic traits. However, if I'd been asked for a paternity test for any of my children, he'd have been shown the door. That's a massive level of distrust. She's only 3 weeks old, but she looks so like him. It's uncanny. Clearly not everything is black and white with genetics, but he fails to see this. When our second child looked vastly different from our first, my husband doubted the hospital staff. He insisted for weeks that the hospital had switched our baby with someone else's. He never once accused me of cheating. I am only saying this to show how that's where his mind is, and the doubting of looks doesn't cause someone to automatically jump to cheating conclusions. My red-headed parents were also convinced of this, because I was born with jet black hair and brown eyes. Weirdly though, all my hair fell out after a few weeks and grew back red. But yeah, no accusations of cheating there either. Now for the mini update. Thanks for all the comments and advice. There seem to be some common responses, so I thought I'd just reply to them here. I'm more than happy for him to get the test, but as most have mentioned, that would confirm his lack of trust in me, his wife, and I don't think I could overlook that. I think I'll seek some counseling to discuss this issue further. I'll be inviting him to join me. Some mentioned that our daughter might have been swapped at birth, and that the test would benefit us both. I can assure all of these commentators that she didn't leave my side once throughout our hospital stay. From her entrance into the world to her leaving the hospital with us, I'm very happy that she's our little one. Most people mentioned projection on his part. I must admit I hadn't thought about this. I'm almost certain that this isn't the case, but I will discuss my fears/concerns with him, as this is now at the forefront of my mind. I will update accordingly. Thank you all. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my children's stepmother to buzz off? I, 30, dated Hank, 33, for 4.5 years, and we had 2 kids together, who are now 8 and 6. We broke up when our kids were 2 months and 21 months old. Within a month, Hank was back with his ex, Michelle, 33. Michelle was his high school sweetheart and best friends with one of Hank's sisters. Hank's family had been sad when they broke up and name-dropped Michelle a lot while I was with him. Sometimes, they even invited her over when we were there. I was so dumb to stay with him, but I really loved him. When Hank and Michelle got back together, Hank was very hostile toward me. Within 5 months, they were engaged, and they wanted me to sign over my rights to the kids so Michelle could adopt them, and they could be raised as their children. Michelle told me nobody liked that they were mine, and that they would never be accepted into the wider family if I was still in the picture. Hank also claimed that it was better for the kids to have a stable home and to be accepted. But like I pointed out, once he and Michelle had kids, would they really be treated like theirs, even if I did entertain the idea, which I never would? They said yes, but I never believed them, especially Michelle. Unfortunately, my kids are treated differently because they're mine. For a while, there was an effort made to alienate them. Hank lost some parenting time with them for 16 months, but once the alienation was addressed in parenting classes and therapy, the judge decided it would be okay to give him back shared custody. I have documented proof that my kids are treated as lesser and get treated badly by Hank's family and by Michelle, but custody is still 50-50, and I can't get more time with them. The kids are so sad going to their dads. I have them in therapy, and the therapist has been wonderful, even advocating for me to have more custody. But the judge still said that 50-50 was in their best interest. Hank has been really difficult to communicate with, and one of our kids has a medical condition that requires frequent hospital and doctor appointments, as well as a learning disability that requires cooperation. I also have Michelle sending me photos of Hank's family gatherings, where my kids are left out. I wanted to block her, but I was told not to, because if my kids are left with her while Hank is working and something happens, it wouldn't look good if I missed that kind of message. So I save everything but don't reply. She has sent 2 medical updates before, so I see why it wouldn't look good in the judge's eyes. But it's hard to receive those messages. And yes, they were used in court, and still didn't change anything. I try to avoid Hank, Michelle, and Hank's family as much as possible. But a few weeks ago, Hank told me he wanted a 16-week break from child support, which he pays because he makes significantly more than I do, because they were saving for a family Disney trip for him, Michelle, and their 2 little ones. I refused to let non-payments go, which they didn't like, clearly. Michelle then attempted to fight me on this by showing up at my house while the kids were at school, which interrupted me while I was working. She was ready to fight, yelling about how selfish I am and how I shouldn't be getting any support for the kids when they made a good offer to let her raise them. She had more to say, but I just told her to buzz off and shut the door in her face. Michelle and Hank have been relentless in texting me since. I spoke to my lawyer, who said I didn't have anything to worry about regarding their threats of court. I said nothing in front of the kids, and she showed up at my house to yell at me. I also have proof of her behaving far worse and saying far worse to me. So I'm not worried. But am I the a-hole for saying buzz off to her instead of just shutting the door in her face? I feel like you're not the a-hole for telling Michelle to buzz off, given the context of her showing up at your house uninvited, yelling at you, and trying to bully you into agreeing to something unreasonable. You've been dealing with years of hostility, alienation attempts, and mistreatment of your kids, and it's understandable that you reached a breaking point. While it might have been more diplomatic to just shut the door, your reaction was a human response to being provoked and harassed. Michelle and Hank's behavior has been consistently toxic, and you're doing your best to protect your kids and maintain boundaries in a very difficult situation. I wish I could do more to keep my kids safe from this. But other than documenting and trying to provide them with more support, I have run out of options. My kids don't deserve the treatment they keep getting from the people who should love and care for them. Oh my gosh, not the a-hole. I'm actually appalled that you're not doing more to protect your children. You literally get sent pictures of them being isolated and neglected. To me, this looks like emotional abuse. Please do more. Can you not take the non-payments to court or report them for harassment? If someone shows up trying to fight you, don't engage. Call the police. Having a police report on your side will always help. I have fought for my kids. I've been in court over this with proof, and it does nothing. I made a call to the non-emergency CPS line, but they said that wouldn't open a CPS investigation because they have food, clothes, go to school, and don't get beaten. The non-payment hasn't happened as of yet. He asked, but I said no. And if he stops, he knows I will report it.